Assalamu alaikum students. My name is Rabia. Hope so you all students will be fine. Okay students, our course name is Communication Skills, and today we will discuss the important topic of this course. Yes students, and the topic of our course is interview. Today we will discuss the topic of interview. Uh, there is a content list what we will discuss in this topic. First of all, we will learn what is an interview. I mean, when we also join the word interview, so first of all, what comes in our mind, right? Then we will read about meaning of interview. Then there is another content, types of interview, right? uh, what type of interview is conducting. So then we will read about strategies to make an interview successful. mm, we will read about if there is any interview, so what type of strategies any person has to adopt, and what type of things she or he has to learn, right? Then another content is common interview questions. What type of questions are asked by interviewer, right? And then we will read about do's and don'ts of interview, what we have to do and what we should have not do, right? And then we will go toward our in conclusion, right? So first of all we see our first content. Okay students, our first content is interview, right? So we will discuss what is an interview. Students, basically an interview is a conversation, right, between two people. The first one is interviewer, right, and the another one is interviewee. So who is interviewer and who is interviewee? Questions are asked by interviewer, right, and answers are given by interviewee. So if we will see a complete definition, so it will be like this. An interview is essentially a structured conversation, right, where one participant asks question, he or she will be interviewer, right, and the other provides answer, so he or she will be interviewee. In common parlance, the word interview refers to a one conversation between an interviewer and an interviewee, right? So we see now our another content. Okay students, in the first content we discussed about what is interview. Now the another content is meaning of interview, right? So basically when we listen the word interview, so there are two types of interview come in our mind. right? So first of all, the first one is reporter's interview, and then second one is job interview. So what happens in reporter's interview? uh, there is one interviewer that is called host, right? And there is another one is interviewee that is called celebrity, right? So this type of interview is called reporter's interview. Okay, and in this interview, interviewer ask different question from the celebrity, right, about his work, about his life, and so on, right? But there is another type of interview that is called job interview. So job interview, it will be like this: when we need the money, right, and when we need to do work, so we go for job, right? So this is called job interview. Okay, students, in our last content, we read about job interview. So there are almost seven types of job interview. So we will read about it one by one. First of all is face-to-face interview, then behavioral interview, telephonic interview, panel interview, exit interview, stress interview, and technical interview. So there are seven types of interview, and one by one we will discuss it. Okay, students. First of all, we will discuss the first type of interview, face-to-face interview, right? So, job interviews are usually face-to-face interviews, right? So, this is a traditional interview, and it is most common type, right? So, what happens in this interview? In this interview, the candidate, I mean the interviewee, and the interviewer meets face to face, right? The main concept of the interview is to build a relationship with the interviewer, right? And show how the qualification will benefit their organization. So, what candidate or the interviewee should has to do? The interviewee should maintain eye contact, right, and respond to all the questions of the interviewer. So now we see our next type of interview. Okay, students. There is another type of interview, behavioral interview, right? So basically, behavioral interview is a common type of job interview, especially in the modern workplace, right? So that's why this type of interview is also called behavioral event interview, right? So what happens in this type of interview? This type of interview is based on the notion. What type of notion? That a job candidate's previous behaviors are the best indicators of future performance, right? So in behavioral interviews, the interviewer asks candidates to recall specific instances, right, where they were faced with a set of circumstances, right, and how they reacted. So it was observed in this type of interview. Okay, students, there are a few questions, and these questions were asked by interviewer in behavioral type of interview. So one by one we discuss these questions, right? So if the interviewer is asking from the interviewee or the candidate, tell me about a project you worked on where the requirements changed, especially in midstream when the project was in mid, right? So what did you do? So interviewer is asking from the candidate uh, about his or her last project, whatever she or he did in last company. So if it was said to interviewee in last company that he had to complete the project in different way, even the candidate was near to complete the project at that time. So what he or she did over there at that time, and how he or she handled that situation. So this is what he or she will tell about it in this question if interviewer asked it, right? Okay, our next question is tell me about a time when you took the lead on a project. So what did you do? Okay, students, it means that candidate will tell about his or her leadership of any project if he or she did, because leadership plays important role for telling the intelligence of the candidate, right? So candidate will tell about it if he or she did, how he or she lead the previous project. Okay, the next question is describe the worst project you worked on. Okay, if the interviewer uh, asks this question, so candidate will tell about the bad project, whatever he or she did in last company. Okay, uh, candidate will tell bad experience of his or her life, and he or she will tell how much he or she suffered, right? So if he or she did it, then he or she will tell about it. Okay, the next question is describe a time you had to work with someone you did not like. Okay, I mean uh, if in the last company it happened with you, like you were doing job over there, and there was a person, and you did not like that person. So why you didn't like that person, this is what you have to tell, right? So now candidate will tell about his or her bad colleague. So he will tell why she or he was bad, what type of bad quality candidate didn't like. So now the same situation, and then if anyone was um, bad in the last company, so then he or she will tell. So if he liked everyone, or if the candidate didn't like any person, so definitely she or he will tell, no, there was no person in the last company, right? So okay, what happened the last time you were late with the project? Yes. So in this question, candidate will definitely tell about the reason. I mean, why project was late. He or she will tell that situation happened due to sickness, or due to another reason. And obviously I already told, if this situation happened with the candidate, so he or she will tell. And if it didn't happen with the candidate, so definitely he or she will tell this situation was not happened with him or herself. Okay. So, and the last question is, have you ever witnessed a person doing something that you felt was against company policy? So what did you do and why? Okay. So in this question, candidate will tell if candidate felt something wrong about any person. I mean, if he felt that any person is doing wrong with the company, so how candidate told about that person to the company, what type of step he took for the security of company. So this is what he or she will tell, um, if this situation happened with him or herself, right? So these are the questions, and I discussed it with you. So now we see our another content. Okay, students, now there is another type of interview, and this is a telephonic interview. Okay, so telephone interview take place if a recruiter wishes to reduce down the number of prospective candidates before deciding on a shortlist for face-to-face interview, right? And when these type of interview conducted, uh, they take place if a job applicant is significant distance away from the premises of the hiring company, such as abroad or in another state. So this type of interview happened. Okay. Now there is a panel interview. This is another type of interview. Okay. Panel means a selection committee that is appointed for interviewing the candidate, right? And panel may include 3 or 5 members. So and questions are asked to candidates about different aspects, and marks are given to each candidate, right? And then final decisions are taken by all members collectively by rating the candidates. Okay, students, this is the another type of interview, exit interview. and when it happens. So we discuss it. Okay. Uh, when an employee leaves the company, right? So he is interviewed either by his immediate superior, by the HRD manager, mean human resources data manager, right? So this interview is so called an exit interview. Okay, student, exit interview is taken. Basically, why it is taken, to find out why the employee is leaving the company. This is what company manager wanted to know or wants to know. Okay, exit interviews are taken to create a good image of the company, right, in the mind of the employee who are leaving the company. So it is called exit interview. Okay, students, now there is another type of interview, and it is stress interview. Okay, so now we see what type of interview is. Okay, and what happens in it. Okay, a stress interview allows interviewers to see how well you work under pressure. I mean, how good work candidate does under a pressure, right? So the interview attempts to find how applicants would respond to aggressive, embarrassing, rude, and insulting questions. This is what interviewer wants to know. So that's why what interviewer does, he asks different questions. So firstly, what does he ask? Being asked more than one questions at a time, right? So just wanted to create aggressive situation for the candidate. In aggressive situation, in aggressive behavior, so what or she will behave. Next, being questions in an interrogatory tone or voice, right? And then the third one is being asked an unrelated bunch of questions. I mean, there will be no concern of those questions. So those type of questions were asked by the interviewer. So, and the purpose of interview I already discussed with you. Like, basically, interviewer wants to know what candidates does in aggressive and embarrassing and rude or insulting situation, how he behaves. Okay, students, this is the last type of interview, and it is technical interview, right? So what happens in this interview? This kind of interview focuses on problem solving and creativity, right? The questions aim at your problem solving skills and likely show your ability and creativity. Sometimes these interviews uh, will be on computer module with multiple choice questions, right? So This type of interview is called technical interview. Okay, students. Now there is another content we will discuss. Okay, what any candidate who he or she should has to do or no need to do, right? So what type of precautions, what type of things she or he has to do, this is what we will discuss over here. Okay, first of all, do not assume anything, right? Do not form prejudgments, do ask both open and close question, whatever you want to ask, right? Okay, but in the limitation, please this thing keep it in your mind. Okay, so next point is do verify, understanding through searching and confirming question. Do avoid confrontation, like fight, quarrel, right? Okay, do act in friendly but professional manner. Both things you should have to do, you should have to show in your behavior. Do not interrupt, do listen actively, do take notes, but do not be prominent about it. Okay, do establish relationship early and maintain it. Do maintain control over the subject matter, right? You should have to complete grip on your subject. Do establish a time frame for the interview and stick to it. Do conclude positively, right? And the last point is do be polite and courteous. Okay, students, now there are few questions, and these questions usually are asked by interviewed. So one by one, we discuss these questions. Okay, if any person goes for interview, so this question is asked. First of all, interviewer ask, yes, please tell me something about yourself, right? So definitely candidate will tell his or her name, right? And then he or she will tell qualification, background, right? And then candidate will tell family background, right? And if she or he has any experience, so job experience, so this is what candidate will share with interviewer, right? Now there is another question, why did you leave your last job, right? So candidate will tell the reason why did he or she left the job. So candidate will tell if she or he was taking low salary package over there, right? Or if anything wrong happened with him or herself, whatever happened, what was the reason happened. So this is what candidate will share with the interviewer, right? Okay, what experience do you have in this field, right? For that field you went for interview, so if you have any experience your relevant field, so this is what you will share uh, with interviewer, right? Okay, next question, do you consider yourself successful? So always be positive, always think positive, so and always hope for best, right? So yes, of course, positively you will give the answer to interviewer. Okay, okay, what do co-workers say about you? whatever the comments about your personality, um, mm, uh, to your co-workers. So you will you will tell it, right? Whatever your co-workers think about yourself, this is what you will tell it, right? The next question is, what do you know about this organization in which you went for interview? So whatever you know about this organization, where did you go for interview, so you will tell to your interviewer. Okay, what have you done to improve your knowledge in the last year? Okay, so students, if you did any diploma or any course, so you will tell to your interviewer, and of course you did it to improve your knowledge, so this is what you will share with your interviewer. Okay. Okay, the next question, are you applying for other job? So students, if you applied for another job, so you just told yes, and if you didn't apply, so just told no, right? Okay, why do you want to work for this organization? This is the reason. I mean, you have to tell why do you want to work for this organization. You want to improve yourself, you want to take good salary package, you want to learn new things, whatever you thought, and you went this organization or that organization. So this is what you will tell to your interviewer, right? Okay, do you know anyone who works in this organization? I mean, if any person, he or she is doing job over there, so you will tell to your interviewer. So these type of question mostly are asked by the interviewer. Okay students, this is another content of this topic. So this is strategies to make an interview successful. If you went for interview, so what type of strategies you should have to do? Okay, so first of all, know the company, right? You should be pretty well acquainted with the company, right? And the type of work they do, this is what you have to know, right? Then you will need to do your homework first, right? And know something of their corporate culture, internal system, business history, annual reports, mission statement, etc., right? So you can do this using several resources, including company brochures, right? Pamphlets, annual reports, and newsletters, right? And the company website, right? So in this way, easily you are able to know the company, right? Okay, our next point is confirm important details. Okay, uh, confirm times, right? And arrive at least 15 minutes early to create a good impression, right? Travel to interview location at least a day before using the same method of transport to ensure you will be on time, right? And especially memorize the name of the interview, right? So now another point of this content, Practice good non-verbal communication, right? So basically, it's about demonstrating confidence, right? Standing straight, making eye contact, and connecting with the firm handshake. So that first non-verbal impression can be a great beginning or a quick ending to your interview, right? Okay, dress for the job or company. Today's casual dress codes do not give you permission to dress as they do when you interview, right? So it is important to know what to wear to an interview and to be well groomed. Whether you wear a suit or something less formal depends on the company culture and the position you are seeking. So, if possible, to call to find out about the company dress code before the interview, right? So, now our another point, ask relevant question. No, sorry, no wet fish handshake. Okay. Uh, Shake hands warmly with a firm grip handshake. Have a far deeper significance than most people give credit for, right? So this expression, I think, shows your concern, shows your need, shows your expression toward the job, right? Okay, next is ask questions, relevant questions or questions. Okay, um, in the interview, ask questions. This is your chance to really impress the interviewer with your research skills about the company, right? And list of planned questions about the role, right? Okay. Next one is take care to answer the questions. Okay, when interviewers ask for an example of a time when you did something, so they are asking behavioral interview questions, which are designed to elicit a sample of your past behavior. What was your past behavior? So if you fail to relate a specific example, so you not only don't answer the questions, right? So but you also miss an opportunity to prove your ability and talk about your skill, right? So don't miss it. And another point is our body language. Okay, so don't smoke, relax, smile, look at people as you speak to them, right? Avoid one word answers, ask questions if something seems unclear, and keep your answers simple and honest. Okay, students, now another point is switch off your cell phones. Make sure it is switched off during the interview to avoid distraction, right? So now another point is listen from the very beginning of the interview. Your interview is giving you information, right? Either directly or indirectly. So if you are not hearing it, you are missing a major opportunity, right? So and good communication skills include listening and letting the person know you heard what was said, right? So observe your interview and match that style and pace. Okay, don't talk too much. Telling the interviewer more than he needs to know could be a fatal mistake. When you have not prepared ahead of time, so you may ramble when answering interview questions. So sometimes talking yourself right out of the job. Prepare for the interview by reading through the job posting, matching your skills with the position's requirement, and relating only that information. Okay, use appropriate language. It is a given that you should use professional language, especially during the interview. Be aware of any inappropriate slang word or reference to age, race, religion, politics, or sexual orientation. So these topics could send you out the door very quickly. Don't be cocky. Attitude plays a key role in your interview success. So there is a fine balance between confidence, professionalism, and modesty. So even if you are putting on a performance to demonstrate your ability, overconfidence is as bad, if not worse, as being too reserved, right? So don't appear desperate. When you interview with the please hire me approach, you appear desperate and less confident. Reflect the three C's during the interview, like cool, calm, and confident. Okay, and our last point is job offer. So finally, if you accept the job, so you have given your word. It is a verbal contract. So if you have any doubt, ask for time to think, but give a time within 24 hours by which you will respond and stick to it, right? So students, so I tried a lot to make your concept about the topic of interview. Hope so you all students understood this topic in easy way. Thank you so much.